Good afternoon and welcome to round 5 of the World Monoposto Sim Racing Championship 2024 from Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Canada. And for the first time this season, it looks like the rain may be coming. Will that dethrone Yannis Wolborn and Holland Racing Team? We'll find out with both qualifying and the race on the way. But first, a very warm welcome to the man who sweated out last week's slightly unhinged Monaco Grand Prix alone and lived to tell the tale. Robin Ciuman, good afternoon. How are you?
Yeah, well, thanks for the introduction. I'm doing fine. Hopefully better than last time. Glad you're back. Because it's easier to do this with two commentators. I really experienced that last time. So yeah, glad you're back and really looking forward to this one.
Yes, it should be an interesting one. We had a rain-affected race last year in Montreal, Canada, and it looks like we're going to have a rain-affected race this year as well. Forecast is cloudy and rainy for both, mixed conditions. As always, this forecast is issued by WMSC ahead of the race, so the drivers have some idea what's coming, and it's based on the statistical data of the location in the respective month prepared by a neutral person. So could be an interesting afternoon. Before we head to the session, let's have a look at the standings coming into this race. And it's been a perfect start for Yannis Volborn, 4 out of 4, but none of those race wins have been driving off into the distance. He's had to work for every single one, chased by multiple different people on multiple occasions. So there's no guarantee he's going to make it 5 in a row. He would be the first driver in WMSC history to do so if he were to get 5 in a row. But can he be stopped by maybe his teammate or Lucas Murno, who are tied second on points? Daniel Benton-Reeder has been incredibly consistent, up to 4th ahead of Reuven Meshida, who returned after missing a race last week. Philip Pushka having a solid afternoon last time as well, up to 7th in the standings. In terms of the constructors, Holland Racing Team have been just the perfect team unit, taking a lead, almost double now ahead of Scuderia Cesario. Scuderia Cesario, they will be very much happy with their improved start to the season ahead of Better Julie, who again, incredibly consistent from them. Currently ahead of last year's runners-up Optimal, SCMM, Infernal Void, Velocita, Potenza, Magnum, all scoring points and bringing up the rear. Potenza scoring points for the first time ever in WMSC last time out, and hoping for points. Costech still yet to score this season, but maybe this afternoon. So we are just awaiting the start of the practice session. The qualifying session, I should say. Its final practice is just finishing off. Head to the track and get a little look at what the conditions are like at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Currently overcast. A few minutes' time, we will go to qualifying. So I missed this race last season, Robin, and it was you and Alexander Knezovic commentating on it. What are your memories of this race from last season?
I remember there being a late move from Yannis Wolborn to win this race. I think it was against Philip Pushka last year. Also, mixed conditions as they were today. What I still really remember from this was that it was possible to run on the slicks for a long time, even with the rain coming down. So they all only switched very late to the inters. I think it was even. But yeah, so this will be interesting to see today how these new cars behave. This is of course the first race where we expect some rain this season with the cars handling a lot different than they were last year. So will be exciting to see who gets it right with the tire calls this race.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think the tyres as well have been changed, so the dry tyres are less compliant in the rain. So we are expecting a lot earlier switches, but it'll be interesting to see because no one's really had to deal with that changeover in a race or in any session so far this season. So it'll be interesting to see. And as you rightly say, yes, it was Yannis Volborn, won from pole. But as so often the case with Yannis Volborn wins, it's never the full story. Starting in bright sunshine, rain arrives, strategies get split, and then the rain left again. And with 2 laps to go, you were quite right. Yannis Volborn made an amazing move into turn 1 on Philip Pushka, to take the race win, but he was pushed by Pushka and his teammate Poland's all the way to the end. It was also the first race that Reuven Meshida appeared in, immediately quick, qualifying third and finishing fifth. Sadly, Reuven not with us this afternoon. In fact, Optimal Esports aren't going to be with us this afternoon, both drivers otherwise engaged. So could be interesting because we could see some other drivers and other teams maybe taking advantage of those absences.
And I have to say, some very well prepared Ash Baker here in the commentary box, because this was a really detailed account of what happened here last year, because I was actually there and I don't remember as much as you did.
I had to go back and have a rewatch, to be honest, because I remember catching a lot of the race live because I was unavailable to commentate, but I think I caught the end of it on stream. And I remember that just the move from Yanis was ridiculous. It looked to the point where he was not going to make the corner and still managed to get it stopped and turned into two. Highlights for that race are on the IBOS YouTube channel, so definitely go check them out. But it was a chaotic one. I had to remind myself. I wish I could claim to have a memory that good, but I easily forget things that happen in the race we're commentating on. So that we know that to not be true, sadly.
Yeah, but I think we should now just be 1 minute away from the start of the qualifying session. Henry Buckland, he's filling in for Magnum Motorsports in the second car that was driven by Jay Black in Australia.
And yeah, we've just had the call from race control. The session is about to move over. And we will start qualifying any second. But yeah, Henry Buckland, the team boss of Magnum Motorsports, driving this afternoon. He's going to participate in qualifying and possibly the start of the race, but then may bail out as he's practicing to stand in. It was announced earlier in the week by Magnum Motorsports that Jay Black has been released from Magnum Motorsports. So he's looking for a replacement. But Henry Buckland potentially looking at filling in the seat himself if he can't get a second driver in the meantime. Just wait for the changeover to the qualifying session. So the forecast for this was mixed conditions, so we might even see the rain appear within this session now. So it's going to be very interesting to see if they need to rush out to get a lap in while the track is dry.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll see a lot of early running this session, because you never know how the conditions are going to change. Hard to tell from this angle what the weather is like.
And our timing screens that we've got, we're looking at ambient temperature of 14, track temperature of 34. But at the minute, no, doesn't seem there seems to be rain on the radar at the minute. Immediately.
Yeah, hang on, this also says practice in top left.
It does. There we go. It's just updating. Apologies for that. So there we go. We can see now the 15-minute qualifying session about to get underway. They will go out as soon as we see the 15 minutes to go. Already, as expected, a queue. And now we've got an update on the weather. Now the session is updated. So we've got a 5% rain, wetness ranging at 5 to 15%. So everyone out for the first time this season. The Greenwald intermediate tyres in use. The session starts as a traffic jam as everyone waits to get out. And qualifying is underway at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve.
In fact, there is a nice mix of tires out there. Philip Pushke, for example, see him here. He's on the Super Softs. Holland Racing Team, both on Inters. So is Heyman, Benton Reader, and Gagiano. SCMM splitting their tire choice here.
It's interesting. They've got the time to maybe run a bit of reconnaissance and see what it's like. So it'll be very interesting to see who can get the most out of their tyre choice. Philip Pushka became the first non-Holland Racing Team driver to get on pole position this season, last time out at Monaco. See if he can continue, but it does look like he is struggling for grip in those super softs.
For now, it doesn't look like this is the right tire choice, as he's really struggling to keep that car on track, also in the hairpin here. Whoa, look at the tail of the car fishtailing there out of the hairpin.
So Walborn going to be the first to cross the line, and he will set the first competitive time in the session. Going him on the run into turn one. We made that incredible move on Push last year, but he's always gone a little bit deep in there. Close to turn two, and then just struggling to get the power down on the exit of two. Turns 3 and 4, getting over this curb. Gentle on the power, not wanting to spin up the rears. Through 5, into 6 and 7 now. Just having a little bit of the car just pushing out wide under braking there, as we see a glimpse of blue sky. The back straight. Very tiptoeing it through. Got to be careful there, very easy to overshoot and invalidate your lap or get a track limits warning. Very cautious under braking down to the hairpin. Tiptoeing on the throttle. Power down. We head towards the final chicane. Yellow in sector 1, but this will not affect Yanis's lap. Down through the gears. Oh, a healthy amount over the curb. I would say quite a lot so on the exit of that one. I wonder if that's going to be okay. It is, and it's a 124.9, which compared to the times they were doing in practice in the dry, that's over 10 seconds, almost 11 seconds off some of the fastest times we were seeing. So that's the difference between wet and dry.
And while you were all Benton Reader, sticking it on provisional pole, now he's getting held up by an SCMM there. In the meantime, while you were talking us through that lap from Yanis Wolbon, everyone on the Supersofts, unsurprisingly, has changed to the Inters as well now. As we see Gabriel Packley crossing the line, or about to cross the line now, and he finally scored the first points of Potenza Esport last week in Monaco. Chaotic race, but Packley did very well to stay out of trouble and put up a great defensive drive against Gino Gugiano, for example.
Victor B there, getting a little bit out of shape through the chicane. Cross the line. It's enough for 6, just ahead of his teammate. Go on board with Philip Pushka now. One of those who abandoned the Supersoft tyre. After a purple first sector, he's got a little bit of traffic here. This is one of the Holland team cars, I think, that just getting out the way.
I think it was.
Oh,
That
wow.
was a big moment there out of the hairpin.
Very eager to get the throttle applied. But this is going to put him in the ballpark if he can keep it tidy through the final chicane. Again, they're getting quite healthily over the curbs there, bouncing across, charging towards the line. It's enough for 4th, so yeah, that moment. Oh, and Lucas Murno comes in, charging through with a to go 7 thousandths of a second quicker than Daniel Benton Reader. But Pushka could be quick if he has a tidier finish to the lap. It was a good start. Meantime, Mark Jordan, the Velocita Virtuale, up to 7th. A really interesting afternoon with a few notable absences. Could see other teams who are vying for points at the bottom end of the table get their chance. In the meantime, Henry Buckland making his debut for his own team. Only a sighter lap there, 15th. Ahead of Machado, who's yet to set a time. Meantime, Murno going quicker, but down by 7/10. Maybe had a moment in the middle sector. That's a hell of a swing there. Up by a 10th in sector 1, down by 7 in sector 2.
I think it will be hard to turn this lap around. I think he has to go for the next one. The conditions seem to be getting worse, or at least it seems like that from the spray that we're getting right now. Mono back into the pits, probably going for a fresh set of inters.
Yeah, very interestingly, yeah, rain seems to be up to 30% on the radar, so unless it eases off in the next few minutes, a lot of drivers might have trouble improving. And oh, we have a like a Velocita car going a bit sideways in the background. In the meantime, Victor B looks like he's on a flying lap down towards the final chicane. Much tidier than his initial attempt there. A little bit of a sway of the car as he comes out of the exit across the line, but not improvement. What can Mateus Machado do? The only driver to not have set a time this afternoon. Tenza Esport bringing a quite big upgrade package this weekend off the back of those first points scored by Peckley. Hoping they can start pushing their way more into the midfield rather than the back. It would be interesting to see if they can do it. Come across the line, the 13th from Machado. Meantime, it's a welcome return to Philip Feckler for Costech, the team boss and driver, making his debut this season after injury and then being away. And he's back, hoping to get them their first points.
Yeah, big opportunity for Kostek last week in Monaco, but unfortunately Heyman had a few moments that took the opportunity away to come home in the top 8. He was running ahead of Peckley before his race unraveled.
Pascal Polans, and despite that seeming increase in rain, looking racy. Purple first sector, looked quite untidy though on the exit of turn 10, I think that is. Down to the hairpin we go. Only down by a tenth though, not completely ruined his lap. This could still be a chance for an improvement.
He might get. He's getting the draft there from the SMM ahead of him.
Yeah, a bit of unintended help there. The SMM ducking out of the way ahead of the final chicane, and rightly so. Again, seemingly no issue to get across the curbs of that final chicane, as long as you can control it. It's a purple final sector and a purple first. It's only enough, though, to advance him to third ahead of his teammate. And Pushka, also a purple first sector. Can he make it 2 poles in a row as he squirms coming out of turn 4? Oh, sorry, wrong part of the track. I was coming out of turn 10 even. Now we're down to the hairpin.
And we might see lap times improving now, because I got intel right now from our weather reporter trackside that the rain has just stopped for a bit and is now slowly increasing again. So this might be indication of this. Philip Pushka about to set a new fastest lap here if he comes around this chicane tidy, which he does.
Oh, and incredibly, no, it's not.
Now that is surprising. He all lost it in that final sector, which is only the hairpin and the chicane.
And like you say, look very tidy through that final chicane. Yeah, this is the moment. This is the time to strike. Weather on the radar had dropped to 5, now already back up to 15. So, as you say, this is the window of opportunity now for them to get their times in. What can Max Heyman do? Team boss for Scuderia Cesario, now back driving for his own team. Only 11th for him. Denny Vella across the line. Into the top 10 for him. Better Julia. Such a solid start for the season for both drivers. Here comes Jendrik Beerhoff towards the line. Time's dropping. He's up to 14th. Gabriel Peckley. This is another improvement, and it's up to 7th for him. Now joined Gino Gajano, SCMM. Another team boss behind the wheel of their own car. Towards the chicane we go. Oh, getting right across. Oh, a little bit of a slide there as he tries to apply the power. I think that might have taken the wind out of his sails a little bit. Across the line. And yeah, a second down in that final sector. But he goes again. Meantime, Lucas Murno, a 10th up after sector 1. Like he's got a clear bit of road ahead of him. But middle sector, oh, and he's down by 6/10 and has gone a bit of a broad slide into the hairpin, and that might be the end of this lap. But at the minute, he is on for his first ever WMSC pole position. Can anyone find the grip to reply? Victor Bino, oh, big slide.
Almost every car is out there, and I think they need to be, because there is a final opportunity for an improvement. Arriving now with the rain increasing and the time running out. Just 2 minutes and 40 seconds to go now. It's a long time since we saw the last improvement at the top.
I think it was literally Poland's just getting ahead of his teammate, and that's it. Couple of moves further down the order.
This might be quite a sizable opportunity here for an improvement of Matheus Machado.
On board for the final chicane. Very tentative there through the chicane there. And I almost feel like he's backed off there to almost have a run up for this next lap. That seemed too tentative. It's still quicker though. It's up to 12 for him. And Pascal Polens, who is on a very good lap indeed. Purple in the first sector. Personal best in the middle sector. Just the final chicane to go. And is that his teammate I spotted just ahead of him?
I think it is.
A little bit of help from the toe. Out of the final chicane they go. I don't know if Volborn's on a lap as well. Keep an eye on the timing tower as they both head to the line. Volborn, no improvement. Polens, also not an improvement. All in that final sector, which is just, as you say, the hairpin in the final chicane. Philip Pushka, in the meantime, 2/10 up after sector 1. Into turns 9 and 10, looking very tidy through there. A little bit of a squirm though on exit. Has that hurt him? We head up to the timing line by the hairpin. He's still up by just under 2/10. Round the hairpin we go. Nice gentle application of throttle, and that looks tidy. Oh, it's a bit of a snap there though as he comes out. That little kink on the exit of the hairpin.
That is gonna be a huge lap time if you can pull it off.
Keep it nice and tidy through the final chicane. There'll be about 30 seconds left in the session as he crosses the line. Will there be a reply? Philip Pushka? No! Incredible!
It's all in that final sector. Murno won't be replying. He's in the pit, so he's not out there.
I suppose the big question is, what is it Lucas Murno did in that final sector on his lap that has just meant he's been able to... That's been his big defence. Seems like every time has looked quicker over the first 2 sectors, but the final sector, he's fended them off. Poland's towards the line. This is already slower, and that is the end of his session.
I think Woolborn just peeled into the pits right ahead of him, if that indeed was Woolborn. So there's not much going on. Daniel Bentonreader, purple first sector, but already down half a second in the middle one. So I don't think there is any answer to Lucas Murno here.
No, and he's just pulling straight in. Pushka is still on a lap though, and he's only down by a few thousandths in the middle sector after being again up by 2/10 in the first sector. It is all about this final sector. Again, a bit of a slide out of that little kink. Can Philip Pushka improve and at least get himself ahead of the Holland Racing Team cars?
Well up to 6th in the meantime. Good lap from Danny there.
Oh, and Pushka bails out of that. He decides, nope, enough's enough. Jano behind, and I think all of them are pulling in.
I think Woolborn's still somewhere. There's someone without a rear wing.
Oh, yep, there was there. And here comes Yanis Volborn. There's Henry Buckland. Oh, he's without a front wing. I think he's literally just lost that coming out of the final chicane. Is Jordan on a flying lap? I'm not sure he got over the line in time. Yep, he's pulling in. I think that's all she wrote, and it is a debut pole position for Lucas Murno. The Scuderia Cesario man has been having an incredible season so far, and it's another first for him. First on the grid, alongside Daniel Benson Reader in the Better Julia. What an incredible front row that is. Pascal Poland's ahead of Yanis Volborn in fourth. Pushka just couldn't seem to find it in the final sector. Only 500ths of a second separating the top five. Then it's Denny Bella, Gino Gajano, Gabriel Peckley after points last week is looking really strong once again, just ahead of Victor B for Infernal Void and Mark Jordan in the sister team. Mark Jordan. Do apologise, doing my best New York accent. Gonzalez Cativo in 11th, Mateus Machado 12th, Max Heyman, the team boss of Cesario 13th, ahead of Feckler making his 2024 debut, and Jendrik Beerhoff and Henry Buckland round out the grid. So, the wet weather is throwing up a few surprises, and we are expecting rain in the race as well. Race start is in around 10 minutes' time. We're going to go for a quick break, and then we'll be back to race at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve.
Monsters inside all of us.
Welcome back to Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal, Canada, where round 5 of WMSC 2024 is going to be underway in just a few short minutes. The end of warm-up is just taking place on track, and then we will be ready for the race, which does promise for mixed weather conditions. It should be very interesting, and we've had a bit of a mixed-up grid as a result, and we'll go back through that for you now. It's a debut pole position for Lucas Murno in Scuderia Cesario alongside Daniel Benson in the Better Julia. The Holland Racing Team cars, third and fourth, will they be able to make their way through? Filip Puška threatened to jump them and maybe even get pole, but he starts fifth today alongside the other Better Julia. Gino Gagliano is Gino Gagliano alongside Gabriel Peckley. I do apologise, Gino. I know how to say your name, but I always seem to embellish an extra I into there. Victor B is alongside Mark Jordan, and then Gonzalez Cativo in the other Infernal Void. Machado in 12th, with team boss Max Heyman alongside other team boss Philip Beckler on row 7, Jendrik Beerhoff, and Henry Buckland bringing up the final row of the grid. So, Robin, I can't remember who asked this question to whom last time, but I'm going to ask it to you because I got in there first. Predictions: who do you think is going to take the win this afternoon?
Well, I'm going to go conservative today and say Yannis Wilborn will somehow win it again. Just because he's Yannis Wilborn.
It's a fair shout because he does always seem to find a way, even when it doesn't look like things are going in his direction. I am going to take the punt on a first-time win for Lucas Murno this afternoon. I think he might do it if he can get a good start. It's all going to be about managing the transition from dry to wet, wet to dry, if that is how it plays out. And then obviously it's strategy to stay out of the pits as many times as possible. So I'm going to go Lucas Murno, but there is a lot of variables this afternoon. Even though we've seen an incredible start to the season for Yannis Wilborn with his 4 wins, none of them have been straightforward. And even if he does end up winning a 5th this afternoon, I kind of guarantee it's not going to be straightforward again. It's always interesting when the rain comes at Montreal.
Yeah, it is, and I think you now thrown another variable in there by putting the commentator's curse on Lucas Murno. Under a lot of pressure because he came close to winning twice before. So it would be really great to see him finally pull this one off. Came very close in Bahrain and very close in Barcelona as well. Bit unlucky last time.
Just had the call from race control that the race session is about to start up, so things are going to jump across. We will slowly see cars appearing on the grid. The formation lap has been scrapped as of this season just because it caused some issues with the start sequence. So we will essentially see them join within a minute, and then the lights will start to come on.
By the way, also hello to everyone in the chat. I see Paul is in there, so already praising my philosophy skills. Thank you. Always doing my best. And that probably is not good. So,
Paul,
waiting.
Paul has had a rough viewing experience so far. So many of his cars falling foul of incidents, not typically to do with them as well. They've had 6 DNFs, but the good news is the 2 times they have finished a race, it's 100% point scoring. So, and that's just Infernal Void, I should say, not accounting for Velocita, who also on the points. And he's saying today he's hoping it's going to be a good afternoon for them just to try and stay out of trouble and maybe pick up points. But here we go. The revs come up. The lights come on. And we are underway in Montreal. Oh, there's a bit of a sluggish start from the car towards the back, but we head towards turn 1. And at the minute, it looks like Lucas Murno's managed to hold on. Oh, and Benton Reader got a big broad slide. He's managed to hold it together. One of the Holland Racing Team cars is through. Is that Poland's? We've got a slider in the back. That's one of the Better Julius. Oh, God, I think that must be Henry Buckland in the Magnum Motorsports car. As we head to the end of Sector 1, it is Murno from Poland, from Pushka, from Wobon. Benton Reader's managed to recover ahead of Vela. I thought that was one of the Better Julius spinning at the back. I must have misspotted that. But it's a great start from Murno. Poland's immediately giving chase. Pushka starting 5th up to 3rd, splitting the Holland Racing Team cars, which we've seen so many times before is a vital thing to do. And now how can they settle in? At the minute, there is only 5% rain, but everyone has started on the super soft tyre. That's a very interesting decision.
Peckley just made it past Gagianos. A great start for Gabriel Peckley. He's already deep into the points again, but he's now having to defend from Gagiano and Weller. Weller lost 2 points, 2 spots there.
Oh, it was a good little switch around. Oh, and Gagiano very much thinking better of that and keeping his nose out of the way. Yeah, very interesting to see everyone on the super soft. It started dry. There are some puddles on track as we saw them go through. Oh, there's collision there, and Peckley goes sideways, but he's managed to hang on. I think Gagiano is lost out there. He's having to now defend from Denny Vella. Got Victor B now queuing up just behind. In the meantime, Henry Buckland has put it in the pits. Said he would only be doing a practice start, preparing for when he needs to stand in, if he needs to stand in future. He's done all the running I think we're going to see from him this afternoon. In the meantime, though, very tightly packed up here. Denny Vella right up behind Gino Gagiano. Towards the hairpin. Is he going to look out? Not this time. Peckley not out of the firing line just yet either, but Vella not getting the best exit. He will have DRS, but so will Gagiano ahead. Head down into the chicane. No moves going on with this. Look like a move in the background there as Pascal Poland sets the new fastest lap. Determined not to let Murno out of his sights.
Kativo is in the pits. That is surprising. And I think it was just Kativo trying to pull off a move there.
Well, there's no visible damage.
Could already be that he is trying to go on the inters.
Oh. And we just have a couple of warnings. Oh, we've had, wow, a couple of things there. So we've had Mark Jordan and Max Heyman on final warnings there for racing incidents, but Gabriel Peckley has got a 5-second penalty. We'll come back to that in a second, but a touch the rear wing of Poland's on Pushka. And at the minute, Philip Pushka might be doing Lucas Murno a favour. If he has to force Pascal Poland to defend, it's a chance for Murno to get away. DRS is open. You can see, even though the DRS was open on Poland's car, Pushka was just starting to reel in. Really interesting fight developing at the front. Peckley, though, will have a 5-second penalty applied after the race for moving under braking. Volborn, in the meantime, with the fastest lap of the race there. So, no one's giving this up. And we've also had a warning for Pushka on that touch you just saw. Coming up to the hairpin. It's all going off. So, let's go back to the start. Looking at Mateus Machado. Quite a few things, a couple of near misses going off here. And you see he had to take quite evasive action there. Slow start from one of the Velocitas there ahead of him. Oh, and he just gets squeezed. And that's incredible. That's not caused another big accident. Machado, unfortunately, now at the very back with Henry Buckland out.
Gonzalez Kativo, in the meantime, we've seen him go into the pits. Indeed, he has gone on to the inters.
Oh, and interestingly, yes, Buckland has not left. I think has he switched to the inters as well and is still running? So that's both of them doing a little bit of test running, it seems, on those wet tyres at this early phase.
Yeah, they are, but yeah, talking about Gonzalez Cativo's lap times, they are not really convincing right now. So I think the Super Soft is still the faster option out there.
Something we have to keep an eye on. We'll see when people start to feel the switch over is coming. At the minute, rain still holding at a steady 5%. Wetness 0 to 40% on our radar, so that's quite a big threshold. It may fluctuate from different parts of the track as well, so something to keep in mind. But so far, great start from Murno. He's going to have a very early back marker to deal with in a second in the form of Henry Buckland. So far, it's nose to tail between the two Hollands. Sandwiched Philip Pushka in the middle.
But it always looks like Murno is trying or able to pull away, but the DRS is just keeping Poland's inside of that 1 second window. Murno was briefly, very briefly out of it by a couple of thousandths earlier, but that long straight, there's 3 DRS zones, of course, on this track. So this is just keeping Poland's in there. And yeah, he has an interest of staying in that DRS window because we've seen how close Pushka can come. And oh, there is a situation there for Henry Buckland. Might have been a crash into the wall of champions there.
And I think he might be waiting to retire the car if he's not moving it, which you can't just do. You have to wait for race control to tell you to retire it.
But the spot on track where he's standing might even justify a safety car. Oh, yellow flag is gone. Maybe he just spun it around, waited for a good time to do that. Yeah, there he is.
Yeah, he seems he's moving again now. So, oh my goodness, it's incredibly close though between these 4 up the front.
Yeah, Pushka had a little moment out of the hairpin, which brought Warborn a lot closer than he was before. That now enables Poland to try and attack Murno.
Yeah, he's looking a lot closer this time around. Let's see if he has a look into the chicane. The cursory glance rather than a serious look.
And it might be that Murno is on a much more low downforce setup than the others, because he can be a lot quicker on that straight there. Even with DRS, Poland's not gaining as much as you would expect, as we have seen earlier this season, where the DRS was very, very powerful. So maybe that might also explain the massive gains that he made in that final sector in qualifying.
Very true, and worth noting, obviously, Team Holland last season famed for having such a quick car in a straight line, this time going the opposite direction with a very high downforce package. And they've also brought a big upgrade package this weekend. But most of that has focused on front and rear wing chassis and downforce. They have made some improvements to their drag reduction in terms of front and rear wing. But yeah, the big improvements this weekend have not been focused on straight line speed.
I'm also taking a look at the lap times. They're slowly getting higher lap times at the front, while Gonzalez Cativo's lap times are getting a bit quicker, so the turnover point might be quite close. In fact, Lucas Murno is in the pits, the first one to call that shot.
It's a very interesting decision. He's trying to push for make the risk. And considering in so many occasions we found the undercut to be a really powerful tool in getting track position, maybe he's deciding, this is the decision to make. Jano also there as well. Yeah, the switch to Inters is happening.
Going for it.
Oh my goodness. Once again, it's a rematch from last year. Pushka versus Walborn fighting in the wet at Montreal. They enjoyed it so much last season. They're back at it again.
Murno might be in a bit of trouble here because he came out just behind Gabriel Peckley and now has to pass his compatriot here.
DRS Open, he's going to want to make this move as quickly as he can, but I don't think this is the spot. He might have to wait for the hairpin.
And That is a crucial lap for Pascal Polens, who might have the opportunity to take the race lead here on strategy. He should be getting close to the pit lane right now. Woolborn made it past Pushka because he left out the chicane because he's heading into the pit lane.
Interesting decision. So this is now an important move for Lucas Murno. With DRS open, he should be able to get past Peckley and does so. And Peckley's going in the pits. Yes, this has been the decision. This is the starting point. Here comes Yannis Volborn, though. Is he going to be able to make it? He's right at the end of the pit lane. This is going to be really close. We follow Yannis Volborn. Where is Lucas Murno? He's behind. And that has been a costly lap. Gabriel Peckley, unintentionally, changing track position for Lucas Murno. So now it's important for Pushka and Polens. Will they both be in on the next lap? In the meantime, it has all started around lap 8 and 9. Oh, God, very close release there from Peckley on one of the Vela cheaters. It's Mark Jordan just behind. And out they come. Now we rejoin Pascal Polens in the lead of this race with Philip Pushka behind. What are these two going to do this lap? Polens has been able to pull out a second on Philip Pushka. He's outside of DRS range. Are they going to go straight on? They both do. Important pit stops. It looks like Volborn has been able to have a pretty much clear lap. Murno in behind chasing. Is this going to be the chance for Yannis Volborn to get into the lead? What is it you were saying about the inevitability of Yannis Volborn? Are we about to see him get into the lead of this race at the start of lap 10? Here comes Volborn and Murno. Through the exit of turn 2. And incredibly, it's worked out perfectly for Holland Racing. Poland slides out behind and they lead. Volborn from Polens, Murno from Pushka.
What a team. They seem to get everything right. Yannis Woolborn slowly becoming the Scott Dixon of the WMSC. All of a sudden, he's in the race lead, and no one knows how, no one knows why, but he's doing a mega job out there once again.
No, certainly wasn't expecting them to want to pull the trigger on the tyres this early. But everyone's gone for it. Rain up to 15% on our radar. Had a race control call, Victor B needing to let Gino Gagliano through again. An interesting one on the timing tower because they have a car between them. In fact, that's...
I think that just happened because B, when trying to let Gagliano by, I think Weller might have slipped through.
And now Gino's ran wide at that chicane and had to let off to avoid getting a track limits strike against him. They're handed out by the game and they are not rescinded. And he just having to dive out of it there, and he's lost out massively. And Vela's now going to have a look and a move on Gino Gagliano as we head down towards the final chicane. Gagliano going defensive. And they break. Oh, they touch. And Vela's now having to take the escape road. And now immediately Gino's been told to let Denny past. Which means Victor B's trying to come through while Denny Vela has got to try and get past Gagliano. So now Gagliano, it's a reverse of the previous situation where he's not wanting to let Victor B back through as well. But Victor B sliding on exit from turn 2. And he gets away with it. So...
Gagliano in the wall. Gagliano in the wall.
It seems to be okay. I thought there was a loss of wing there. It looks like he's all right. Maybe just getting on the power a bit early on the exit of turn 4. And here we go. Let's have a little look at this. Now, this is the initial incident by the looks of it. So we've got B ahead of Gagliano. And yeah, he does the right thing in letting him through. But Denny Vela says, thank you very much. Nothing to stop me going through as well.
I mean, that might not even have been intentional, letting someone through there. You could have, of course, waited a bit longer. It might even have been the case that he just missed that corner. Looks a bit like how Sebastian Vettel lost the race here in 2011. I think it even was the famous corner where he did that.
It was indeed. Meantime, Murno has dropped behind Philip Pushka now. Oh, Murno now seemingly struggling in these conditions since getting onto the intermediate tyres. And the Holland Racing Team cars are seeming right at home, like ducks in water. But Murno seems to be struggling. He's not got that pace that he showed at the start of the race.
Yeah, of course, now also the teams do get the information how the weather will be ahead of the race, as we see how Pushka made it past Murno.
Track limits, he's had to let off, and yeah, made it easy for Philip Pushka there.
So right now it feels a bit like maybe Holland Racing Team just chose more of a weather setup, because as soon as they will release it in the rather wet conditions, they're really checking out now.
Like I said, they made some big upgrades this weekend, more focused towards downforce, and they've come at the perfect time. Is Volborn from Poland's once again. Still plenty of time to go. We are still not sure what the weather is going to do, if it is going to get heavier to the point of full wet, if it's going to ease off again. So there might be another twist in this. Gino Gagiano again struggling on the exit of corners in this weather. Max Heyman itching to maybe make a move.
He was very cautious on the brakes there into turn 1. He was letting off the throttle very early. Oh, but look how much Gagiano is struggling, and I think he really made contact with the wall here. So there might also be a bit of suspension damage, which of course doesn't make things easier, especially if you're having issues on the power.
Yeah, every time he's trying to get out of a corner, Gagiano just can't seem to get it in a straight line. The car's squirming, and it's a chance for Max Heyman now to get up. And Heyman's missed the corner. DRS open, he's going to have to let off, and Gagiano gets away with it. Quite a few struggles since the weather is getting a little bit heavier. Now Heyman, the one struggling to put the power down. Finished 10th last time out, driving for Kostec. We've got Henry Buckland, the boss of Magnum Motorsports, in the chat. I think he got his first fun taste of WMSC. As mentioned and alluded to, yeah, he's not hoping to become a full-time driver for them, but preparing should he need to. Glad you enjoyed it out there, Henry. I'm sure the conditions probably weren't the best for your first ever taste of WMSC. Good to get the running. In the meantime, Denny Vella is all over the back of Victor B.
I think these two have been trading places, because last time we saw them, I think it was B behind, but Vella had a little look there, and I think now B will have to let Vella through. He does so.
That's an easy chicane to overshoot in the dry because of how tight it is, and because obviously it's just runoff, it's easy to kind of just get over there. But in the wet, if you're carrying too much speed, like literally the second instance we've seen of that in a matter of laps.
Yeah, it is, and the next opportunity to miss a chicane is coming over here. Danny Weller looking good this time, though.
See how powerful the DRS was, which, as you can see, wouldn't usually be active in conditions like this, but WMSC, it is still on and still a tool for them to use. Saw how powerful that was for B getting back under the rear wing. Danny Bella. All about survival, slow and steady this afternoon for many. There could be points on the table for many of these drivers who are still maybe running a bit further down. Things could still occur to bring you back into a chance of points. Remember, it's the top 8 that score points in the same point system that Formula One briefly used in the late noughties. Meantime, though, it's getting closer between Pushka. He's settling in and closing up on the Holland Racing Team cars.
They are doing an incredible job out there, because we've seen a lot of chaos in the first 4 races this season, a lot of incidents, but today, despite the conditions, I think we only saw one car really properly putting it into the wall, which was Gajano, who is still running out there. But apart from that, they're all keeping it on the black stuff, not necessarily between the white lines, but they're doing a good job out there.
Obviously, it's you know, a punishing circuit. Walls very close to you in most parts of the circuit, apart from the few runoff areas you do have. But make a mistake in the wrong area, and you will be in the wall. So it's not the most forgiving of circuits that have to drive in these conditions.
But usually it is a very good one for racing. It is almost like, well, I think technically it even is a street circuit, because I think the rest of the year, when there is no race going on, these are public circuits, not necessarily really inside of the city, but still, they're public roads. So yeah, probably a properly good street circuit. You rarely see these days.
And we've got Gonzalez Cativo in the Infernal Void car. Going to have company from the leaders very shortly. Take a good moment to get out of the way. Approach infamous Vettel chicane now. Gonna just duck out on this straight here, I think. Minute though, it's not all of them, just the Holland team cars through. There is a gap between them, so it's not like Pushka was shoved right up behind. Meantime though, Murno has very much lost the back of this top 4. Seem just at the side of your picture now, entering the hairpin while these guys leave. Tivo now out of the way. Allow Philip Pushka to resume his chase.
Yeah, so I think these conditions do just not suit Murno and or his setup. But of course, we don't know how the weather develops. All the info that we got is there are mixed conditions, which could technically mean that later on we will see some dry running as well. So that could be when the advantage swings back towards Lucas Murno, who just lost a big chunk of time. 6 seconds now, the gap to Philip Pushka.
Yeah, I wonder if there was a moment there for Lucas Murno. So Mark Jordan slowly joining fight between Max Heyman and Gino Gajano now. Towards the final chicane we go.
For the moment, this is the battle for 9th, but of course, as soon as something happens to the top 8, which will be the cars that score points at the end of this race, they would be right in there. So, a very good effort there by Mark Jordan. He already scored a point on his debut at Melbourne in a very, very chaotic race there. But he could add here to Velocita Virtuali's points tally today.
Yeah, Mark Jordan so far the only driver out of Bella Cheetah and Infernal Void to finish more than one race. They've had such a rough time of it this season. Unfortunately, oh, good lord. The commentator's curse is so strong. I don't even know if I want to finish the sentence. Yeah, so last time out, he DNF'd in Monaco. Unfortunately, there was a big accident start of the race down to the Nouvelle Chicane. They didn't even get past the first lap, if I remember rightly. But Jordan's been a solid performer so far. There's still a good chance for him to maybe pick something up today. And of course, Victor B, who has yet to score points for Infernal, is running in the points at the minute. So still plenty of time to go and plenty of twists. I do apologise to the team boss, Paul Muller. I will try and speak on those cars as little as possible so I don't curse them any further.
By the way, I think we've talked about Heyman making the switch to the first team, if you will, Scuderia Cesario, where he is replacing Alexander Knezovic, who is on holiday, wishing him a good time there, who was last time replaced by Danilo Vaz, and we remember the infamous incident that Vaz and Quercio had in Monaco. They both received a race ban for this race, so this is why Fekala is alone racing for Kostek, and why Heyman is replacing Alexander Knazovic's replacement at Scuderia Cesario. So this is the reason why we only have one Kostek here today.
There is Philip Fekler. Always a solid runner. Trying to get his Kostek team into the points. Season Fekler's best finish was 11th, whereas his team's best finish was 9th. Gonzalez Cativo literally gotten to the one position ahead of one position before points, I should say, waiting to go one better. And Jendrik Beerhoff is in. Looking at the conditions, this might just be a straight switch from inters to inters. We'll see. But this seems like quite a long stop, so I wonder if he's had an incident there.
As you say, this might, I think that pretty sure is damage repairs. We don't see every bit of damage that they have on the car. We can only see if they lose their front and rear wing. But there might always be a bit of suspension damage, or, well, stuff they can try and do fix in the race.
Jendrik coming out just as the leaders come by. I think that's Philip Pushka just ahead of him. Not getting in their way.
After a few strong laps here, Pushka had to drop back again.
Oh, another minute. Oh, Gajano. That's him losing positions by the looks of it. He's gone deep into the hairpin, and Max Heyman is through. Mark Jordan right behind. To the DRS zone we go. Immediately going to be a right to reply for Gino Gajano. Up the inside, is he going to be able to make this nice and tidy? Oh no, he's going to duck into the pits. Could have easily been a big accident there, but he's in. Is this just going to be tyres as well? Wonder how long this stop is going to run for.
Well, we know that Gajano made contact with the walls earlier, so this one could be a bit longer. I'd be surprised if the intermediates are really that vulnerable, but it seems like this was just tyres.
And he's gone full wet, interestingly enough.
Okay.
Now that's an interesting decision because, and Gajano's just been given a penalty. I wonder if that's pit lane speeding. In comes Philip Pushka. Is he going to follow suit? The conditions out there at the minute don't look like they've worsened significantly. So are they going to split strategy here, or is this going to be a wet tyre as well? Let's see. As Pushka comes past. No, though, he's stuck with intermediate. So Gajano clearly doing a bit of reconnaissance for his teammate, but I'm not sure that's the right call. Let's see if these fresh inters can give Philip Pushka a chance to maybe perform an undercut. I wonder if that's... it's only been about 10 laps since everyone came in. Oh, we've just had a call that someone can escape a car. Oh, Beerhoff is in the wall. Just seen him in the background. There were yellow flight in Sector 1. Jendrik Beerhoff is out. We'll get a replay for that in a second. But
back on the topic to Giuliano, it's really some high stakes that hitting from P8 or P9 as he was at that moment. So that is some big gamble that he's pulling off here. And so far, no one seems to follow that gamble. It didn't pay off for Kativo earlier, who was the first car to switch onto the Inters, as this is Jendrik Beerhoff's incident.
When it's through turn 5, the back's just gone. And that's not a massive accident, but we've already seen him having to repair damage, so I wonder if it's just the culmination of previous incidents, just deciding no, he can't continue with the car in its current state. So that is Jendrik Beerhoff out. In the meantime, Gajano has come back into the pits.
Well, it still shows the wet tyre, but
it does. Oh, straight into the wall. Oh, Gajano! Both wings gone into the wall. Yellow flag in Sector 1. So did he switch to the wets? Why did he come back in the pits? We are not sure. He was given a penalty, unless it was just to serve the penalty. Oh, and over the wing goes one of the Potenza cars. Now, this is interesting. Are they going to just allow Gajano to escape the car? Or is this going to prompt a safety car?
I think you're very right there. He might have just served that penalty.
The wet tyres clearly not the choice at the minute. Now we're waiting a call from race control. But through come the leaders, just past, and it's called safety car at Montreal. And that is going to change things up a little bit. In the meantime, Mateus Machado in the pits at the perfect time. Interesting to see what he switches to now. It does look like from conditions, it's not gotten exponentially worse. Benton Reed is in as well. I think intermediates does still seem like the tyre to be on.
Machado also seems to be fixing some damage because that was a long pit stop. Daniel Benton Reader.
That looks like Inters for Inters. Here's Peckley. Remember, he's got a 5-second penalty post-race, so take that into consideration. Oh, and he nearly comes together with a Benton, with a better Julia, sorry, not Benton Reader, his teammate Denny Vella. Ahead we have the Infernal Void car, Victor B. And the timing of when the safety car was called is interesting because obviously the leaders had just gone through, but everyone behind that, from I'm guessing Benton Reader down, would have been in the perfect position to just go straight into the pits. I don't think Murno and Pushka were there, although Murno is now ahead of Pushka.
Pushka was in the pits just behind Giuliano, but he just switched from Inter to Inter, which is of course now poor timing, although he is on the fresh tires. So depending where he's on he's coming in again. His tires are just 2 laps old.
That is that's an interesting decision. Is he going to try and switch to something different? Well, I feel like it is the tyre to be on, but there's going to be a bit of a hold here for, I'm not sure what happened there. What's happened to Pascal Polens? Why was he alongside Paul Bourne then? That's an odd one. I was going to say there's going to be a bit of a hold for Polens, as they were obviously back-to-back coming in. And that's cost Pascal Polens. It now means Murno's up to second, Pushka third.
But I'm honestly still confused as to why Pushka hit it there. Now Pushka's back to fourth.
Yeah, it is, and you're right. His tyres were actually only a lap old. A very interesting decision, unless he just wants to be on the fresh rubber with everyone else, so there's no tyre deficit. But it's only a couple of laps. I can't see it being that detrimental.
Well, we had a
Very,
similar situation last week in Monaco with Lucas Murno coming in the pits and on the virtual safety car, actually passing Philip Pushka. But then one lap later, he came in again, and we didn't have any reason as to why he did that. So yeah, some weird strategy call there by SCMM, maybe. Or maybe there's also something we don't know.
it'll be interesting to see, but it's spiced things up. It's split the Holland racing team cars. I imagine that Machado and Cativo will be allowed to unlap themselves.
I'm sure they will be. Wonder when the call will be there. We had that in Monaco.
And there it is. Just as you were wondering, race control whisper. Obviously, if you're wondering, if you can't hear that, we can hear the things that the drivers hear from race control, but they're not broadcast out, so we bring those to you. Oh, and interestingly, Lucas Murno has been ordered to give second position back to Pascal Polens. I think he was driving too quickly under the safety car and has had to give the position back. So that's a shame.
Yeah, he was. I think the gap was 13 seconds out of that safety car. And they came in all together, so probably that was Murno trying to seize the opportunity there, because he knew that Poland had to wait in the pit lane for his teammate.
Eno has just been given the call to escape the car. Is Scuderia Cesario, sorry, not Scuderia, the SCMM car out, and that is our third retirement of the day.
By the way, sometimes if you're wondering why we're stop talking in the middle of a sentence, that is not our brain freezing. That is actually probably us waiting for a call on race direction, because we get them. You can't hear them on stream, as Ash just explained. But yeah, sometimes it might sound a bit odd when we just stop talking to listen. But yeah, that might be the reason. Sometimes maybe it's really just our brains freezing.
Yeah, I was going to say sometimes it is our brains freezing, but yeah, most of the time it is race control.
But you
Okay.
can't tell, so we can always use that as an excuse.
That's true, and I wish I had been doing so up until this point. As Gonzalez Cativo comes in, I thought he had come in with the rest of the rest of them. Or has he switched to soft tires? He has. Well,
Okay.
that's a decision. It's still obviously, as you can see, there's a lot of spray and it's very wet. And you can see he almost slides straight off the track coming out of pit exit. What's worth noting is it is not raining, though, which is what he will have spotted and thought, okay, the track is probably going to start drying. Thing is, though, the track, in terms of wetness, according to our radar, is varying from 5 to 60%. So, for me, that seems like the Inter is still the tyre. I appreciate Gonzalez Cativo, though, for constantly being the one to try these things out on the tyre, but he's going to have to be very careful.
But there might actually be a chance, because this safety car, I think, will still be out there for maybe 2 laps. Oh, but he's struggling to keep it on track, even under these reduced speeds. But yeah, so the track will become even a bit drier. Usually we wait with the restarts until everyone has caught the safety car queue, but that even might be a difficult task there for Gonzalez Cativo, because, yeah, as you said, the track still seems pretty wet and he's really struggling out there.
I wonder if we're going to see him after this recon lap go straight back in or if he's going to stick with it. Heavy on the brakes, and no, he's going to stick with the risk, although, oh my goodness. Not going to do the bottom of his car any good, but at least he's kept it out of the famous Wall of Champions. Evo, having been in the pits 4 times as he goes sideways, Tokyo drift into turn 1. It's going to be interesting for him. But the radar is updating constantly, and already the maximum track wetness is reduced by 20%. But it's also saying there is still now the presence of rain. So it's constantly fluctuating. It's not clear what direction it's going in, if it's going to suddenly necessitate full wets, or if it's going to suddenly become a dry track again. Safety car restart, though, is coming next lap, so they will do one more under safety car. Gonzalez Cativo is, until then, to catch up with the back of the queue. We've got a far way to go, so he's got at least a couple of laps to try and settle in. Oh my goodness.
Look at that. And he still has the opportunity to come in and, well, at least not get lapped.
He almost left Canada with that line. That's you're gonna stick with it.
Poland is in the pits. Pascal Poland is in the pit lane.
And he's just driven straight through by the looks of it.
Oh, hang on.
Because he's not changed tyres. He didn't even go into his pit box then. He's just driven straight through the pits. What has happened there? He didn't get called for a penalty or anything, did he?
I don't think so, but I mean, Canada has a famously short pit lane, especially under safety car circumstances, because you can just go flat out through that final chicane and even miss corners 1 and 2. Maybe he was trying something cheeky there, I don't know, because he really didn't stop.
He was in second, so he's lost 2 places. And to be fair, when he came back out of the pits, he was lower than 4th, so I feel like he's kind of overtaken a couple of people. Oh, it looked like someone was having a bit of a slide in the background. I'm not sure what's just happened. Race control must be looking at this. So here comes the replay. So he's second. He just decides to drive straight on. Unless we just caught the tail end and he did stop, but... So through the pit lane we go. No, by the looks of this, I think he's just going to drive straight through the pits. I have no idea. Oh, in the meantime, a bit of an explanation from Jendrik Beerhoff. Hello, Jendrik. Bugged into the wall and wasn't able to rejoin the track and the engine died. So that explains why it was such a late incident. But in the meantime, no action from race control. Yannis Volborn gets us underway. Green flag racing at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Timed beautifully, and he leads all the way. Lucas Murno, Philip Pushka, Daniel Bentonrieder, and Poland has dropped back behind Bentonrieder. Possibly from where he came out of the pits. I have honestly no idea why that's just happened. But in the meantime, Gonzalez Cativo is back in the pits, and he's decided that maybe the super softs are not the ones to go for. And that looks like Inters to me. Yes, it is. So let's see how Lucas Murno can now do on these Inters. Has he settled in? Can he stick with Yannis Volborn in these conditions now? Because he seemed to really struggle once things got off the dry tyres.
So I've got further intel, by the way, on the Poland's information. Race control just approached me, and yeah, I see also a Stewart writing there in the chat. It was it was actually the case of the rain did stop briefly, so Poland decided to go in. He actually wanted to change tires, but as soon as he entered the pit lane, the rain started again, so he had a change of spirits and decided not to pit and came out immediately. And as he was behind Benton Reed at the safety car line, some big battling going on there between Weller and Peckley. There is contact, and
oh no! And that's one of the Velocita cars. Sorry, my goodness, there was just a mangling of parts, and that's one of the better Julias. Now without a rear wing, and it's Peckley's been caught up. So Machado's now up into the points. Has B got damage? No, it looks like they've gotten away with it. Oh no, B is missing a front wing. So now all of a sudden, we said that things could change around. Philip Feckler now has a chance to get up into 9th behind Mateus Machado. And all of a sudden, these cars that were fighting for the points have just suddenly had their afternoon go in an unintended direction. We'll get a replay on that in a second.
Yeah, I'm sure this will be looked at by race control as well, because that was a bit of a clumsy situation there, both trying to get that position in the chicane, Weller and Peckley. And Super Parker, you're right in the chat. Once again, B caught out by no fault of his own once again, because he was just at the wrong place at the wrong time there. As there is a move from Poland against Benton Reader. That one went a lot cleaner. Poland gets the corner done.
Benton Reader will try and come back, but I don't think he's going to have the DRS because there's the one activation zone for the 2 sections, and Poland gets the move. In the meantime, Murno is staying within a second of Volborn, but Pushka's looking a lot closer to Murno, and Poland is now going to be very much on the back of them very shortly. But yes, in all that chaos, Mark Jordan's up to 6th, and this is part of the reason why Vela and Peckley side by side, and then just caught Jordan. And actually, Jordan is the one who made contact with Peckley, with them sliding in front, but he's managed to get away without losing a wing, whereas B, or was it B that made contact?
I think it was,
Sorry, it was B. It was B that made contact. Yeah. I do apologise.
I think Peckley has to take the most blame for that incident, because it looked like to me Weller was almost fully ahead and he'd still tried to stick it. Oh, actually, I might be very mistaken there, because we see a penalty for Danny Weller, but he's in the pit, so that could also be issued by the game by speeding in the pit lane.
Oh no. Oh, the call has been made that it said Peckley was ahead coming to the braking zone and left more space. Therefore, Vela has been penalised for the incident. That's an interesting one. So much happened there. We just caught another replay and we saw how, the aftermath for B as well, making the contact and then hitting the wall. We might have to see that a third time just to keep an eye on the braking zone from Peckley's perspective, because that's an interesting call, Robin. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, we saw that replay very late, but I still kind of... Okay, this might be a different angle, so before I say anything, we'll take a look at that. So
it does look like he's ahead, but then obviously, and then from Peckley's perspective, he's just had the door slammed on him, and he should have been given a right to space there. So I do see where race control is coming from on that one.
Yeah, after seeing that on board, I do see where they're coming from as well. So yeah, it's a very difficult decision, but I think after seeing that on board, one that is justifiable.
Vela now who was running in the points, is a lap down and is going to be hoping for some chaos. But as you can probably tell from your screen, the spray is increasing and so is the rain. So now, instead of the track drying, it's going in the other direction.
Yeah, exactly. And as soon as that happens, and this is the situation that we see here, Murno is dropping behind from Volborn, Now this is from Victor B's perspective. Okay.
Yes, you can see Peckley is clearly ahead coming into the zone. Vela tries to outbrake, but then just, slams the door. And then sadly, B just gets caught up in it, loses his front wing. It causes Vela to lose his rear wing, and Vela has the penalty. Damn, a real shame there. But while that's hurt the Infernal Void driver, Mark Jordan up to 6th, Max Heyman for Scuderia Cesario is in the points, and now the last 2 points are being fought over by the 2 teams that we've seen as perennial backmarkers, Potenza and Costech. Potenza scoring their first points last week, but now Philip Feckler is 9th, his first race of the season. Could he propel his team into the points for the first time? He is right on the back of Mateus Machado. Both of them tiptoeing about. Right behind Feckler, looking quicker, and in fact he's got a better traction out of turn 10. Towards the hairpin we go. He's forced to the outside. He's going to have to go the long way round. He's going to try and go the long way round, but a shorter distance keeping Machado ahead. But they're side by side again. Feckler much better on the traction. Who's going to have DRS? Who was ahead at that point?
I don't think they will have DRS at all in these conditions.
Has it been now deactivated? Yeah, it looks like it. Machado hangs on though.
Yeah, they are both really cautious there, but I think that is a wise choice to make here, because the stakes are pretty high for these 2 teams. There's not too many opportunities where they have the opportunity to score points. Indeed, Philip Feckler never scored points in the WMSC, and neither did Mateus Machado. Big moment there for Feckler.
Huge chance for both of them. And Gonzalez Cativo running in 10th, despite the fact that he's been in the pits 5 times now by this point. Running in 10th on the lead lap. He's still not out of a shout with points here, but at least he is on the right tyre at this point. And he's just behind. Well, he's a good 11 seconds behind Machado and Feckler, but if anything happens with them, he might be the one best placed to inherit.
Yeah, and we expect the Infernal Void to be quicker than these 2 on track. And by the way, there's also a great opportunity. Cativo, we are at the halfway point of this race. Feckler going very deep into the hairpin. I think Machado will be safe for this lap. But yeah, Cativo has the opportunity to actually break Alexander Knazovic's pit stop record. I think it was 11 pit stops he did at Melbourne. So at this rate, Cativo could challenge that record.
I mean, depends how much the weather is going to change. It might be very possible. Imagine if he breaks the record and scores points. That would be something.
It really would, yeah.
But
Machado going deep there into the first corner, and this is another opportunity for Feckler now.
Both drivers at different points just testing the limits of grip and finding they don't have as much as they would quite like. Bringing them closer together again. Big sideways moment there out of 4 for Feckler through 5. Braking zone to 6 and 7. Got to be careful on the curbs in this weather. Gently applying the throttle, power down. Picking the moment. It's definitely towards the hairpin or on the run down to the final chicane that Feckler needs to look to make the move.
He seems within a shot now. Machado placing the car very well there in the middle of the road.
But Feckler trying to just get to the inside on the exit, and again he's got the power down, a little bit of slipstream to help him. He won't have DRS though. Again Machado placing the car defensively. And the straight line speed,
quicker, yeah.
Potenza just seems to have the edge in a straight line. Worth noting the Potenza team running the SCMM engine, whereas Costech are running the Scuderia Cesario engine. And it is worth noting there is a 20 brake horsepower difference in those engines.
What's happened? Bourbon is 4th. Murno is leading this race.
Is he?
No.
Oh,
Okay.
whoa! Well, that was a big no.
What? That might be. Oh,
That's connect. Is that connection?
it might very well be. Lucas Murno is leading this race.
Yanis Volborn, the man who's won 4 in a row, will not win 5. We will find out what's happened to Yanis in a second, but what a moment that is. My goodness. And now Lucas Murno leads from Philip Pushka and Pascal Poland. So I was just looking, we kept a cursory glance on the top 4, and they were all like arm's length from each other, nothing really going on. But Volborn out. Reuven Meshida joins the chat at the most interesting moment. Yes, Yanis Volborn is out. Talk about all or nothing. 4 wins in a row. The record. Scored in 9 consecutive races. But he's out. We'll find out what's happened in a second. My guess is connection issues.
It very well looked like it. Like he briefly went off the radar, then he rejoined the track, and then he was suddenly listed as a DNF. We saw that happen earlier, or last season as well. I think it also happened to Reuven Meshida once at Road America. He then rejoined and made it out of the pit lane with 1 lap down. But this one here... Now Wilborn, I think Wilborn just rejoined, but here is the replay.
Yeah, he's now showing in 12th. Let's see what happened. That's a connection issue. I think he's had... So he's now, if he's managed to reconnect, is he going to be back out on track?
He's in the pits.
Showing him in the pits. And he's coming back out. And he's coming back out on soft tyres. 50% rain. I think that might be just because it's what he started the race on. So he's unfortunately had to rejoin that way. So he's going to have to tiptoe around and then come back in to change tyres. But considering it's now 50% rain and parts of the track 100% wet, if he can get round, he might be able to get straight onto the wet tyres and it gives him a lifeline back. That is assuming it's a connection issue and not a hardware issue, because he is moving, unless he's just being cautious.
I think he is, because the track right now seems the wettest it's been all day. And this is interesting because Lucas Murno, earlier he was struggling when it was wet, but he was kind of keeping up with Woolborn ahead of that probably connection issue. And he's kind of pulled away from Pushka in that time. He was all over the back of him, but now there is a gap that is slightly over 1 second. And with Woolborn probably being out of contention for the lead here today, at least, well, he needs to rely on his teammate, but right now he doesn't seem as quick as those guys ahead of him.
It's going to be very interesting to see what Yanis can do if he can get back in on the right tyres. And, you know, if there's another safety car and he gets a chance to unlap himself, it might bring him back into it. He just needs to keep running. And is Pushka gone in the pits?
Pushka's in the pits.
This is the call to wet. This must be it.
This went wrong for Murno earlier, being the first one to call the shots. We have no car out there on wet, so this is a big gamble. No lap times that we are able to watch. And I think, is this blue or is it? It is green.
Green. How many laps was that? It was about 10 laps. Are the Inters only lasting around 10 laps or so? Is that just the issue?
Well, I don't know. I think Philip Pushka, maybe he's also struggling on tyre life a bit, because he was the first one to pit. He came in just after Gaggiano. The rest of the field was lucky that Gaggiano then brought out the safety car. And remember, Pushka came in the safety car, and we were wondering, why is that the case? He's only been out there for 2.5 laps, maybe. So maybe Pushka's really struggling on the tyre life with these Inters. So this could be the issue here.
Yeah, we'll see if anyone else of that leading group follows suit now in the coming laps. But at the minute, it is Lucas Murno, 2.7 seconds clear of Pascal Poland.
I think that's Woolborn missing a rear wing.
Yep, it is. He's just gone 2 laps down. He was tiptoeing it around with the wrong tyres, and unfortunately, it seems like he's fallen foul he's just trying to tiptoe it towards the start-finish line across to the other side. So close to the pits. Is he going to try and continue? Complete polar opposite of how his season's gone so far today. It's incredible, but he is in the pits. It does look like the car is slightly crabbing. We'll see how much it can get fixed. But wow. Meantime, Benton Reader. Oh, and Benton Reader sideways. Immediately under pressure from Pushka on those fresher tyres. Volborn is in the pits now and getting his car seen to. That's going to be a long stop. In the meantime, though, Philip Pushka on the attack against Daniel Benton Reader. And they go side by side. Oh, and it'll be interesting. So Benton Reader basically had to bail out, but he had nowhere to go. We'll see if race control says something about that, but I think Pushka's going to be allowed to keep that place down to the hairpin. There's an important few laps now for Philip Pushka. If he thinks that everyone else ahead is going to come in, could he pull the undercut on Lucas Murno? He's pulling away from Daniel Benton Reader comprehensively in the meantime. Volborn, his stop lasting almost a minute now. And he's out on the intermediate tyres. He's the last man on the road. But there is still 28 laps to go. 4 laps down. So he's going to have to just do what he can. He might still pick up. In the meantime, Benton Reader makes the call and switches, but he's going for Inters as well. Mark Jordan now up to 4th at the minute for Velocita.
What a day for Mark Jordan.
I think everyone is coming in. No one seems to have switched to wet, so it does seem like the Inters only have a life of around 10 laps. If they can...
Tivo was one of the latest ones to stop to switch onto the Inters, because he had that brief running on the dry tire during the safety car.
So interestingly, we might see one more stop between now and the end if conditions stay the same, just because of the wear on the Inters. In the meantime, Machado has lost out to Philip Feckler. Obviously, these two were scrapping over the last point. But then, obviously, Volborn having his dramatic moment, meaning they're both in. But Feckler is ahead of Machado. We'll see if we can pull that back up. But so much going on.
And this also has some very interesting championship permutations, both drivers and constructors, because Volborn is unlikely to score anything here today. And Murno, I think he could close the gap down to 6 points if he wins here today. Same goes for Pascal Polens.
Now, this is the moment. Oh, and up to the final corner we go. They're side by side into the final chicane. Once again, looks like Feckler might just get the power down a little bit better. He's going to go to the outside for turn 1. This could be interesting if they're about to go through side by side. And they do, which means he's on the inside for 2. And that's a great bit of racing from both of them. Still, move's still not done, though. His power down again. Towards turn 3 we go. And he gets the move done there. No, he doesn't. Oh, my Lord. Side by side. Do like 4 corners there. Excellent work from Philip Feckler.
Yeah, and they showed so much respect for each other. And, well, like we said, this is so important, this race, for both of them, because they are in a fight with Magnum Motorsports and each other, of course. And their point-scoring opportunities are not that plenty as for other teams, maybe. Mark Jordan in the Velocita Virtuale, who could also be, opponents of Kostek and Potenza, they could really, well, fly away into the distance with a good finish here by Jordan. In the meantime, Poland has closed the gap there to Murno.
As it stands, Velocita on 3 points for the season. It could be a big afternoon as Jordan heads into the pits to change tyres. We're interested to see when the top two go in, because it does seem, like as you say, Poland's is looking a little bit more racy at this moment, but will they change? The question is, has Philip Pushka done enough? Once he'd overtaken Daniel Benton-Reader, the gap was 19 seconds, and at the minute is down to 17, so he is lapping quicker.
He is, but he seems to be a bit tougher on those tires. I think with the longer Murno and Poland can stay out, the better for them, because they might save one pit stop compared to Philip Pushka. They could do it on one more, and Pushka, I'm sure, judging on what we've seen so far, he will also have to do one more.
Here is Pushka. Gap now coming under 17 seconds. We could be in a good opportunity for him today.
Murno seems to be struggling again. Poland's coming ever so closer there.
It's really interesting this afternoon. Lucas Murno had an incredible season last year with Infernal Void, made the move to Cesario, a team that wanted to fight at the front but didn't last season. Philip Pushka was in a different team last season and moved to SCMM, a team that wanted to fight at front but didn't, and now both of them are indeed fighting at the front. Pushka, even though his results in the race didn't really come until round 3, round 4 onwards, he's been consistently quick in qualifying and shown potential. And once again, he's putting himself in the picture for maybe his first race win of 2024. And that would, in fact, be his third race win overall. But Lucas Murno in a shout for his first, potentially. In the meantime, Machado coming out on the Inters. It'll be interesting to see how Fekler responds to that one.
B, in the meantime, made it past Captiva. They were the other way around earlier. So B could also be challenging Fekler and Machado for the final point scoring positions, if he keeps it out of the walls, that is, of course.
Question in the chat, has the rain stopped? No, at the minute it's not. It is down though to 15%. It was up as high as 30. Track wetness, minimum of 15, maximum of 100. So that's a massive range in terms of how wet it is on the track. You can see some of the puddles there that are kind of gathering. So still very much intermediate weather, probably leaning closer to wet, but we'll have to see where it goes in terms of rainfall in these last 25 or so laps. Victor B now running in 8th. We've got Peckley behind, who's running in the points and looking quite well until the incident between him and Denny Vella. But now Peckley into the pits. Not over yet, but he's going to need a few things maybe out of his control to swing his way. But it's been another solid drive for Peckley. And at the minute, Machado, his teammate, still has a shot at points for this team. And Philip Pushka, third. The gap down to 15.5 seconds. I think the question is, it must be that the top two are going to try and extend so they only have to stop once more. Whereas Philip Pushka, who obviously stopped only a few laps ago, is likely going to have to stop again. So it's the question of, can Philip Pushka save enough time for an entire pit stop?
Yeah, and I think at that rate, that is not the case. He is gaining, but he's not gaining quick enough, and I'm sure what you said there, Myrna and Poland's extending is exactly what they are doing. But then, of course, Pushkin would be in big trouble, I think, if they all need to do one more stop. But of course, there is the chance that of a safety car at any time, especially in these conditions. We've seen how quickly things can change here, because that already happened multiple times this race. And then there is, of course, the weather variable. I mean, if it gets dry all of a sudden, who knows?
Absolutely, there's so many variables still going on. It's far from decided. Obviously, if someone does end up having an incident and putting their car in a wall at an unfortunate position, everyone might be back together again. The Yannis Volborn, don't think he'll be allowed to get all 4 of those laps back, but he's still running, still waiting to see if there's a chance to pick up the pieces should anything go wrong ahead. Big respect for him to get it jumping back in the car and trying to carry on and get what he can. Just a shame. It wouldn't have been as bad for him if he'd come out on, say, the intermediate tyres. But unfortunately, he was back out on the softs, had the incident, and then had to repair his car. He's still running out there on the inters, but lapping quite well in the 1 minute 30s. In fact, his previous lap was in the high 129, so as ever, he's still got his pace. But this would only be the second time in WMSC history that Yannis Volborn would not score points. His previous sole non-point scoring race was 9th in Portugal last year. This would be his worst ever result. Just completely unexpected, and it's one of those things that does happen in sim racing. It's, akin to a mechanical failure, if you like, the disconnect, which, Filip Puška suffered from. We obviously had Ruben Meshida missing out in terms of connection issues until recently. So it's one of those things that can happen to anyone, and has unfortunately happened to the championship leader this afternoon. However, his closest rivals at the minute are doing their very best, with the exception of Ruben Meshida, who's not with us today, to close that gap.
But I think for the championship, this is very good news. And I could imagine that Wilborn is even more annoyed at the fact that he had to come out on those softs, because that cost him a lot more time than that disconnect. He left the pits ahead of Danny Weller, just 1 lap down. That's, well, very long lap on the super softs. It's actually cost him 3 laps on track.
And Victor B, as you can see, still struggling for grip, but closing in on Philip Fekler ahead. Fekler having stayed out when Machado, who he was fighting, has gone in for a fresh set of enters. We're interested to see when Fekler pulls it. He's obviously hoping to only do 1 more stop to get into the end. But B, after losing that wing, back in the points, looking to potentially get himself up to 7th. Across the curb of turn 1. Got to be careful there. You are allowed to get across it, but if you take too much, it will be a track limits warning.
Too many of those warnings then will result in a drive-through penalty. That is what happened to Ruben Meshida, for example, the first race in Melbourne, where he was fighting Wilborn for the win. He then dropped down to 3rd.
And interestingly, Peckley and Machado have just changed places on the tower. Both a lap down at the moment.
Well, that's interesting. I mean, of course, if Peckley is able to go quicker and not hold Machado up, this is, of course, a sensible thing to do. But Machado, he was right there with Philip Fekler ahead of that pit stop.
We saw Peckley go in the pits as well. So Peckley's obviously not doing a bad job at making up time. In fact, he's in the 129s. I think he's lapping about 2 to 3 seconds quicker than Machado. And he's lapping quicker than Fekler and B on screen now by about 2 seconds. So there might be an outside chance for Gabriel Peckley to still sneak in the points, but it does depend on the stops and how many left, and if he can make up that time. But he's moving quite well at the minute.
Yeah, he is, but yeah, he will also still be annoyed at that incident that he had there with Danny Weller, because he was running ahead of Max Heyman. He could have been competing for fifth here today.
As we said before, it's about kind of keeping your nose clean and staying out of trouble. Victor B unfortunately got caught in that trouble, far be it from, not his fault, but he's at least still going. He's now very much tucked up under the rear wing of Philip Feckler, and Kativo is just behind him. Both the Infernal Voids now queuing up to try and get into the last 2 points positions as V has a little look on Feckler. Both just struggling to get the car stopped. But they do just keep it in there. Kativo is right up there.
So, Super Parker, how's your heart rate right now?
We go down the back straight we go. Still no DRS at the moment. It's going to have to be done the old-fashioned way for Victor B. In the meantime, there's Kativo weaving to get out the spray, but B moves to the inside, and that's a very nice move indeed. Feckler, very smart, not fighting it too hard. But Kativo's right there as well. Head down to turn 1. Is Feckler going to try and come back at B now? Into the braking zone of 1.
Poland's in the pits. Very important for the lead.
That's interesting. Poland's just got within a second of Murno just ahead of that stop as well. So he's made the call, trying to do the undercut. Rejoin this fight for 7th place. At the minute, Feckler just struggling out of turn 4. Through 5 we go. Kativo now to get the move done. B just trying to eke out the gap and get out the way to allow his teammate to maybe line up a move. Towards turns 8 and 9. Nice and tidy inside that curb. Don't want to get on that sausage curb. One of the things that Feckler's been good at is getting his traction down out of the corners in this weather.
Generally, he's been keeping it very clean throughout, and it's remember, this is his comeback. He hasn't been driving for a long time. He was on holiday, and then before he had an injury, so this is the first time out on track for quite a while for him, and he's fighting for points here.
Yeah, and worth noting, his last race wasn't even the last race of last season. He picked up 11th in Brazil, which, as mentioned before, was his best result so far. But regardless of where he finishes, he's putting in an absolutely brilliant performance today. But we turn our attention to the fight for the lead. In comes Lucas Murno. Filip Puška is probably going to inherit the lead. The question is he going to get out ahead of Pascal Polans? Towards the pit exit we go. They change position. Polans through the chicane. Lucas Murno's coming out. Oh, and Murno just... You could see Polans, and he almost overcooked it coming out. But the undercut's been done. Polans into the lead of the race. And that might be the final stop for these two. The interesting one now is Filip Puška. Can he push out a gap to make another stop, or is he going to try and stay on these tyres to the end? He's got a decision to make. The gap currently 3 seconds. The Pascal Polans just ahead of Janis Volborn, but the very rare occasion that there is 4 laps between them. I don't think we're going to say that very often. No, we'll be wanting that other Holland Racing Team car to get out of the way. In the meantime, Mark Jordan close to Max Heyman now. And what is very interesting is you might see a little bit of blue sky at the top of your screens. The rain is down to 0%. Track wetness now ranging between 5 and 60. Are we about to see the track dry out in these last 15 or so laps?
And you know who will love to see that? Filip Puška.
This would completely neutralise his call to stop earlier on those inters. In the meantime, Jordan, a late look to the inside. Heyman leaves the space, and in fact, just almost made the move, but Jordan had to run a little bit wide there on exit, but he might have another chance coming down this back straight. Tucked right under the rear wing. DRS still not active. Heyman goes to the outside. Can Jordan make the move up to the chicane? Oh, he's on the inside, but he wasn't alongside. Other opportunity. Jordan looked to the inside of turn 1. Not quite yet. In the meantime, Kativo, now a chance to get past Philip Feckler. And in a repeat of what his teammate Victor B did, he is through. And that is both Infernal Voids now currently in the points ahead of the Costex. So close for Philip Feckler once again.
And they were trading places before a couple of times. We saw it on the timing tower, so I think that was also a battle that went on for longer as Heyman going a bit wide into the Vettel chicane. So that is an opportunity now for Mark Jordan once again. He's super close right now.
Oddly enough, Denny Vella, who's a lap down, is catching up to these two because they're fighting, and Jordan nose on the inside. Oh, very smart decision to get his nose out of there. There wasn't really anywhere to go. You can see Vella is now in the awkward position, having to sit behind this. Yanis Volborn picks up a penalty. Not that I think it's going to affect his position at this point.
He's just been through the pit, so might be, speeding in the pit lane. Infringement.
Just a nice little cherry on the top of his afternoon. And, Heyman in. Heyman's going to make the call. So it's interesting now. What is this going to be? The drivers will have noticed it stopped raining. They'll have a bit of an idea of how the track is doing. Is this going to be a straight switch for Inters, or is Max Heyman about to take a risk on a dry tyre? And it looks like he's stuck with the Inters.
Yeah, it very much does so. I mean, sometimes we had it also change a couple of seconds in, due to some glitch with the game. Who's that? That is Kativo. Yeah, Heyman just ahead of Kativo.
Kativo hopefully will be looking at trying to make a move, but Heyman on the fresher tyres if he can get up to speed. But Kativo looking very racy, sensing an opportunity here. Heyman powers out, and Yanis Volborn is in. Is this to just serve the penalty that he's just picked up, I imagine?
Yeah, I think... maybe it's not. Or maybe he's just gonna retire altogether now. Let's see.
It looks like he's definitely stationary, unless it would... Yep, it's just the penalty by the looks of it. I don't think any changes were made. I almost wondered if he was... considering switching to a dry tyre to do a bit of recon for his teammate.
Yeah, that is of course something they can now do with Volborn now very much out of contention. So they can actually try and do whatever they want with Yanis Volborn. In the meantime, talking about his teammates, he is getting closer and closer to our race leader Filip Puška. We expect Puška has to stop once again. Poland and Murno, unless of course the weather changes, will probably go to the end.
It's going to be very interesting what Filip Puška is thinking now. The rain has stopped, the track is still wet. Knows he probably has to stop again, but then we're also getting to the point where, you're running out of time. Oh, and there's a lot of sun there. Oh, it looks like pure sunshine for the first time.
Yeah, that's as much color as we've seen all day.
So this could be very interesting, because you think about if you can get to the end on the Inters, how much time is the track going to dry enough where it's worth having a whole additional pit stop?
I mean, we saw track drying quite quickly during that safety car when Cativo gambled on the slicks. It dried out quite quickly then. So I think with the sun now helping maybe, and cars on track at full speeds, there might be an opportunity that we'll see some dry running towards the end of this one. But the thing is also, can Pushka extend his stint long enough to actually benefit from this? Because we know he's been through his tyres quite quickly so far.
Indeed, he has one complete additional pit stop, than extra than everyone in the top 7. Philip Pushka. You can see now how much he might be struggling on those tyres because Poland's is tucked right in behind.
This might be just me, but I think the spray is getting less and less. I think we are seeing the track dry quite quickly.
It is, and you know, there's definitely still some big puddles offline. Track wetness still registering at 5 to 60%. That part of the track, as you can see, wow, the spray really does kick up there. But as you saw in Sector 1, you rightly spotted, there wasn't really much. But Poland's now sensing a real opportunity. Murno is going to be hoping Pushka puts up a bit of a fight. Bring him back into contention. Oh, and Poland's looks. All having to try and navigate the traffic now. And even though the leaders are through, they're not far up the road from 8th place Gonzalez Cativo. It'd be really interesting to see if any of the cars lower down take the risk earlier. Through the final corner we go. And Poland's is tucking right up now. Those inters are going to be a lot worse for wear for Philip Pushka.
Yeah, they really are. You can see him struggle more than Pascal Poland's behind him. Right now it seems like not a matter of if, but when Poland's will make it past the SCMM in the race lead.
So far, though, at every corner that Pushka stays ahead of Poland's, it is bringing Lucas Murno back into the fight. That gap now coming down quite considerably. Poland's is going to have to think about making a move.
Murno gaining significantly as well now, just 1.6 behind the leader. And I think if this continues, we might see DRS being reactivated in a couple of laps. We actually don't know. We don't get a call about this, but we'll see it. And there is Murno. Once again, it's a three-way fight for the win. We had that in Barcelona, and what a fight it was there.
And now we have the added anomaly of the track drying. Coming up to 10 laps to go. Does anybody make the call? Do they try and stay to the end?
Someone's in there. This is Cativo. Of course, it's Gonzalez Cativo. He is probably now the first one to change to the super softs and see how it goes.
An interesting call. He was running in that last point spot. I don't think he had that much of a gap on the guys behind him, but yep, that looks like immediately it's gone straight to soft tyres. This is going to be very interesting and could prompt so many other moves. We will keep an eye on Gonzalez Cativo's lap times. Meantime, Mark Jordan is up to 5th ahead of Victor B and Max Heyman. But we stick with the top 3. Less than a second separating them now.
Poland's a bit of a moment. Murno is very, very close. DRS is active once again.
Oh, and this is going to be huge for both Murno and Pushka. Because now it's going to be much harder for Pushka to defend, but it puts Murno right in the game. And Murno is close to Poland's at the minute. He looks to the inside at the hairpin. Murno's going for it to the inside. He tries to not squirm wide, but he can't help it. But they're side by side. They're both going to have DRS, I think.
There was a bit of contact, I think, from Poland's kind of, searching the inside line there.
And here comes Murno again towards the inside. Oh, and Poland's just hangs it out there. Brilliant defending. In the meantime, Philip Pushka is let off the hook a little bit, but not enough to get out of DRS zone. Not yet, anyway. And Murno, desperate. He feels like this could be the chance for his first ever race win. The 2 people ahead of him, previous race winners. Murno wanting to add his name to that list. In the meantime, Gonzalez Cativo's lap times are not lighting up the timing board just yet. I think we're waiting for him to come across to finish his first lap on those tyres.
The sectors are not good though.
I think, Cativo outlap. He's not in the pits again, is he? Or has he run wide? I think he might have breached track limits, so we don't even know what the time was. Oh, with Murno going wide in the background, though. And all of a sudden, the pressure's switched back onto Filip Puška. And this could be a really, really tough one to defend from, because now he's tucked right up behind in the DRS zone, but Murno's right back in there again as well. Power down we go. And immediately Puška trying to just break the toe. Yellow flag in sector 3.
The overtaking is not allowed there.
Oh, it's just cleared now. The panel is still... Oh, there is... Oh,
there
my
is
goodness!
Wall of Champions. That is a better Julia. It's probably Weller. Yes.
I think it is. Is he trying to keep going? I think he is. But all of a sudden, Murno spots the opportunity to get right close up behind. And they're about to catch a back marker. Any one of these 3 could still take it. In the meantime, Puška trying to nurse his tyres.
Rollins is also struggling. He took a lot of curb there. Once again, Murno is super, super close.
As the track gets drier, Murno looking quicker and quicker.
Still waiting for any lap time of Cativo. There's still nothing.
The replay. This is what happened to Denny Vella. It's a textbook Wall of Champions moment onto the sausage curb and into the wall. Wouldn't be a race at Montreal without one of them. In the meantime, the top 3, less than a second, on the hairpin. And the minute it looks like there's going to be DRS for Puška from this back marker, so that's going to help him out this time.
I don't think there is, because he was too late at the DRS detection. He's ahead of the hairpin. But there is no opportunity for Poland, therefore, because there's a... Safety car now goes off track.
We have a safety car.
Just as they pass the pit entry. Where is Benton Reader? Benton Reader might now have an opportunity here. If the track, of course, is...
Oh, it's Cativo.
Cativo?
Well, I think that tells you everything you need to know about the dry tyres. And the experiment ends. He's...
Where is that? Is that actually... Is he looking the wrong way, maybe?
Oh, yes. Okay. So this is turn 5 by the looks of it, I think. This is where Olivier Panis had his accident, I think, in 97.
Benton Reader is in.
Oh, this is huge. But obviously they're going to be all under safety car conditions.
It's now how much can Benton Reader gain? Benton Reader
gone
super
for it.
soft.
And the track wetness has dropped from 5 to 40. It is getting drier. The question is, we've seen the risk of moving on to the super softs.
But this safety car, with everyone having to come round, it will take some time. So the track could be very different at the end of this safety car period than it is now. And look at that. It looks like there is a dry line.
The question is, what are these front 3 going to do now when they come round? And this is what happened to Gonzalez Cativo. He's already messy on the entry through 3 and 4. On the curb. Oh, and then just putting the power on. Wow, that is a big hit.
It looked like he left the racing line there at the exit.
The lapped cars are now unlapping themselves, which, considering it's up to 6th place, that's going to be a lot of cars moving back up onto the lead lap. B, Heyman, Peckley, Feckler, and Machado.
Mark Jordan, I think, is also on the softs now. At least it shows that on the live timing. Yes, that's the case. Mark Jordan. Now, where is Benton Reader on track? I think
they're
he's
staying out.
Far away.
Oh no! Oh, Poland's there was a split. there was another last-minute bit of indecision from Pascal Polens. He decided against it before. He's going for it now.
Wow, they will all have very different tires now. Polens, what is he switching on to? I mean, Pushkin still on these these ancient intermediates. Murno quite fresh into Benton Reader. Is he really past?
Oh no, he's
Polens?
gone for in. Is he gone for Inters?
My goodness, Benton Reader is in third on the Super Softs. Pushka, very old Inters. Murno, fresher Inters. Benton Reader, fresh Super Softs. Polens, the freshest.
Oh, and I think
the
Benton
safety
Reader
car
went
line,
too
yeah.
quick. Yeah, he was. I think he maybe went a bit too fast. Couldn't make it work.
But still, the opportunity, depending on the conditions, the opportunity for a maiden race win in the WMSC for Daniel Benton Reader is right there for the taking.
And if it is bad for those intermediates, Mark Jordan is just behind him in fifth on the Super Softs.
Now, these last couple of laps, whenever the race is restarted, will be absolutely wild. And we haven't seen any sort of lap time by Gonzalez Cativo, though I can tell you, I see the last sector splits on my screen right now on the live timing before he had that crash, and they were quite competitive. So the lap times were okay, the sector times by Cativo, and since then the track will only dry even further. So Benton Reader might be with a shot of a race win. Oh, Peckley!
I mean, that just proves what it's going to be like offline. So it's going to be quite difficult to make an overtake, it seems. If you're on the dry line, you might be okay, but then you're going to have to move offline to make the move. In the meantime, Victor B has been ordered... Philip Feckler has been ordered to allow Victor B past. Another instance of speeding behind the safety car. They're about to switch places. Max Heyman, in the meantime, on the intermediates. So it's currently lap 63. We're about to start lap 64.
I think next lap might already be it. They are almost in the right order. Now, is there a... No, that's just one SCMM. Then Murno. So everyone till Mark Jordan has caught up. Heyman is in the pits. There he is. He was right there as well. Might also switch to the Super Softs now.
So interestingly, we've lost Bella as well, who had had his own incident just before Cativo's.
I saw him come in behind Benton Reader, but maybe the damage was too much.
Yeah, maybe he's decided against it. So, Yanis Volborn still has enough time to finish 11th, incredibly, in this race. But Heyman... Oh, and Yanis has been now... He's not actually unlapped himself yet, so he's now going to be only 3 laps down. So we might get going. I think it's going to take a little bit of time to shuffle out. I think we might get going again on lap 66 with 4 racing laps to go. Could be in for a hell of a finish here today.
But I'm really afraid I think Philip Pushka is on the worst tires out there. This is a big decision for him to stay out. But, well, he only has to hold on to the race lead for maybe 3-4 laps.
The top 3 on Inters. And it is literally in reverse order of freshness. Pushka on the worst. Murno somewhere in the middle. Poland's on the freshest. And then we've got 2 drivers on the Super Softs. Benton Reader and Jordan. 2 drivers on the Inters, being Feckler. And then everyone else left in the race beyond that point on the Super Softs. At the minute, though, it's interesting. There is the wetness has changed on track from 0 to 40%. And Volborn has decided to DNF. Maybe he didn't want to reduce the amount of racing laps left for the time it took for him to unlap himself, potentially. He wants to give his teammate as many laps as possible to try and get the race win.
I think they're all there now. There is a Potenza at the back of that queue. Yes, they're all in the queue now, so I think next lap will be it.
So yes, we are on lap 65. We will restart racing on lap 66. And with any luck, we will have 4 flat-out laps to the end of this race. Will we see a third win in the WMSC for Filip Puška? Will we see a third win in the WMSC for Pascal Polens? Or will it be a debut win for Lucas Murno, Daniel Bentonrieder, or even, with an outside shot on those super soft tyres, Mark Jordan?
Well,
what an end we could be in for.
Super Parker in the chat, I bet Mark Jordan on P1. Yeah, I bet you do. And I mean, there is a chance. He just needs to, if the Super Soft indeed is the fastest tyre at that restart, he just needs to pass Bentonrieder. Puška will have a hell of a lot to do to defend from 4 cars behind him, all on much better tyres. We know Murno's and Polens' tyres will be a lot better than his, but Bentonrieder and Jordan, they took the gamble.
Surprised Puška and Puška, Murno and Polens aren't running in the wet line a little bit more. As there is now a clear, defined, dry line. There are still a couple of puddles, as you can see, offline. And this restart for Puška now is going to be vital. All on him. Any time from now, Filip Puška can hit the throttle and send us on to a frantic final 4 laps of this WMSC race, Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. All 10 cars remaining, all on the lead lap. Points, podium, and even the win is still on the table. Anything could happen. Into the final chicane. When does Puška hit? Is he going to leave it as late as possible? He waits, he goes. Hammer down. Oh, and immediately there's a big accident! No! And immediately, well, that is such a shame for Daniel Bentonrieder. Philip Fekler is 4th now. Both Potenzas are in.
Way.
Jordan has dropped to 8th. We will get a replay in a second. Jordan's without a wing.
I can't believe it. Peckley back in 6th. Machado in 7th. I think Jordan, Bentonrieder, and B all have damage. And I mean, this is more good news for Filip Puška. Less laps he has to defend.
At most, it's going to be 2 racing laps. But I think with everyone getting their damage repaired, it might only be 1. It might literally be a shootout to the end on 1 lap.
I think Fekler is on quite fresh inters as well, by the way. I would love to see a replay. I think it's just Bentonrieder a bit too eager maybe on the throttle there.
Here we go. Let's find out. So we follow Daniel Bentonrieder. Power down. Oh! Did he just... Yeah. Is it the fact that he's on the super softs? There's a little wet patch just on screen, and he's just lost it and caused a chain reaction of destruction there.
Oh man, poor Victor B. Once again. He was just there, and, well then, dancing on top of the pit wall there. This is crucial.
The power down, yeah, it's just absolutely snapped on him. He's caught, he's taken out Jordan. Jordan was almost through and clear into 4th. Victor B. There is an absolute curse on Infernal Void and Velocita this season. It's unreal.
I think Victor B will be questioning what did he do wrong in an earlier life, because so much bad luck that this man has been having. It's crazy. And we still don't know which is the tire to be on, because I mean, Benton Reader, he lit up his rears there too much. This is Victor B's perspective of...
Oh,
come
dear
on.
me. Just, you've got to feel for both of them. And was it Peckley as well who also got caught in it, or someone else did? Yeah, that is such a shame. Jordan now out of the points to 10th. So I think they're all in the pits getting their damage repaired. So it's now a damage repair race between these three cars. Wait to see. But as soon as these guys get on the back...
That is for the final point, by the way. So this is the slowest race for P8 I've ever seen. Oh, someone's doing something. I heard some engine revving.
Yeah, I can hear that. Oh, there we go.
Who's that?
I can't tell. Oh,
they are released at the same time.
So it is going to be B, Benton, Reader, and Jordan. They will all be fighting for that final spot. They're all on super softs once again.
I think B made the switch. I think he was on Inters before.
Depending on how quickly these three get round, we might get going with 2 to go. It just depends.
That's going to be crazy.
The minute I think the pack is up to the hairpin.
It's just going to be one lap.
In the meantime, the track has not dried any further. It is 0 to 40%, meaning there is a dry line. But as you can see, there's still plenty of puddles offline. Out the hairpin we go, and we are going to have one lap. I hope we get the one lap. Oh, Feckler's in.
Feckler? What? He's giving away P4.
Away from 4th. This must be for Super
What is Feckler doing? What's that?
A bizarre decision.
Unless this is a bug, this is...
So, we've had the call from race control. We will get a safety car restart. And there's going to be an investigation on the incidents after the race. So there might still be recompense for Daniel Benton Reader.
Yeah, I think if anyone gets a penalty, it's Benton Reader, because he was the one triggering this.
It was looking like another incredible day for both Better Julia cars, and this might be the first time this season they don't score points.
And you know who will take the most out of this? Scuderia Cesario, Murno in second, with, of course, fresh intermediate tires. He might have an opportunity here on the final lap. And Max Heyman in fourth.
Ah, now it looks like the timing screen's updated.
Okay.
Super softs, I think so. Feckler has made the call to go on the super softs. So, Heyman is now the man in position on the dry tyre if it is the best tyre, but he's only going to have one lap to try and do something. Pushka just has to survive one lap on these worn intermediate tyres. 28 laps he's done on these intermediate tyres, if I'm reading this typing screen correctly.
Half of them were probably on the safety car, because...
So, take 2. 1 lap of racing. The chicane, is he going to drop the throttle at the same point? He is. Power down. Watch out for the wet patches. We're off and running. Immediately Pushka trying to break the toe.
No, it's super
close. Turn 1. looks into turn one, but not this time. Tyres aren't going to be up to temperature. Everyone across the grass, 2 Potenza Esports, followed by Fekler. Oh, and immediately Poland's is looking on Murno. This has not been the start he wants. He's going to have to defend. This is perfect for Pushka.
There is
and he
contact.
Poland's in the wall. Oh, and that might be some recompense for Murno there. And now...
Heyman is third. Lucas Heyman is third. Fekler up to 6th. Peckley in 4th. Peckley on the soft in 4th.
In the meantime, Murno's on the attack, but will he get a penalty for that contact with Poland's? In the meantime, Poland's is down behind Heyman and Peckley. Can he get past through? Filip Puška has just a few corners to survive. Up to the hairpin we go. Murno's not close enough. He's going to need the DRS towards the chicane.
Big lunge.
Oh my goodness. Oh, that's...
Peckley's in 3rd. Oh, Gabriel Peckley's on the podium right now.
Oh, but Poland is coming back through. Is he going to get punished for that dive bomb? No. In the meantime, Puška to the extreme inside to defend. DRS is open for Murno. Puška into the final corner. Through the chicane. Power down. There's so many things going on. It's so Peckley. It's going to be Puška. Puška to the line. Puška wins from Murno. Peckley, he's still 3rd. He has
Peckley's done it. I can't believe it.
That's incredible. Take a deep breath. It's a double points finish for Potenza Esports. Filip Puška wins from Lucas Murno and Gabriel Peckley. Poland's is 4th.
Peckley has 5 seconds from right after
Oh,
the
no,
start.
he doesn't. Oh, yeah, no, he's lost. No. Gabriel Peckley had a 5-second time penalty, which means he's going to drop, but I'm not sure.
Out of the points. Peckley's out of the points.
Was that... Oh my goodness.
Oh, these 5 seconds were added to his result. So Peckley's out of the... Now he's not on the podium, he's not in the points. Does he know? Well, he defended like a lion there against Poland, so well done by Gabriel Peckley, but...
So there is going to be confusion about what the actual result is, because there's definitely going to be a look at what happened between Murno and Poland's. Poland's is dive bomb down. Obviously, Peckley has 5 seconds. And then Benton Reader in 7th is also going to be investigated. The one thing we are sure of is Filip Puška has won his 3rd WMSC race this afternoon. For those who missed it earlier, Gabriel Peckley moved under braking at the very beginning of the race and was given 5 seconds to be added at the end. Apologies, it was a lifetime ago. So much has happened since then. We completely forgot that had been added. It was only within like 10 laps that he was given the penalty. So he will lose spots, but it is unclear as to how many at this point, depending on any other penalties. But the one thing we do know is Filip Puška has won this race. And we will just see if we can get...
These results here today are very much provisional. The drivers have been given the opportunity to have incidents reviewed after the race that happened in those last 5 laps, or well, in between these last 2 race restarts. So the race results are pretty much provisional. The only thing we know for sure is Filip Puška is the race winner because he has done nothing wrong. There is nothing to be investigated, I think. So, I'll hand over to you to give us the provisional, very much provisional results.
Yeah, it is. So Filip Puška, we do know, has won today. A fantastic result for him, gambling on those intermediate tyres. Lucas Murno 2nd, Gabriel Peckley 3rd, but there will be 5 seconds added to Peckley's time. Lucas Murno, obviously that contact with Poland's on the final lap, puts his result in question. Poland's, in the meantime, his dive bomb down to the hairpin makes you wonder if that's going to be investigated, but he's provisionally 4th. Max Heyman is in 5th. Philip Fekler sixth, Daniel Benterida seventh, but we already know the incident with him that brought out the second safety car towards the end will be investigated. That may drop him out the points. Mateus Machado does at least score a point for Potenza Esports. At the very minimum, there is still hope for Mark Jordan and Victor B, depending on what penalties get handed out ahead and how close they were to Gabriel Peckley when they crossed the line. It's an incredible afternoon. We are joined by Philip Pushka, Lucas Murno, and Pascal Polens. So this is our top three from this afternoon, and we're going to start with Philip Pushka. Philip, congratulations on the win. What a gamble at the end to stay on those intermediate tyres. How happy were you when the second safety car got called?
Yeah, obviously big relief because the tires were completely shot, especially the rear tires. So yeah, lucky this time, but you have to take it sometimes as well, not only the bad luck. So I'll take it and move on to the next race.
No, absolutely. You've had a lot of bad luck, especially towards the end of last season with the connection issues, hardware issues in the first, but you've been quick in every race, despite, the race results as well. But it seemed to come together last time out in Monaco. And once again, a fine afternoon. Tricky conditions. How was the wet weather this afternoon? First time on wet weather this season in these updated cars. How was that for you?
Yeah, it was okay, but a bit tricky. Nothing but no grip, so have to adjust there. Didn't really do any laps in the wet yet, so new feeling, but now I know it. So yeah, next time I know better. I guess that's the same for everyone. Big thanks to Gino because he sent me a setup as well before the race, 2 hours before the race, and I didn't do any laps. I didn't even plan to do the race, so I just decided that I would race against the odds. So big thanks to him, and obviously the victory is half of him because I didn't have a setup, and because of him I had one. So yeah, big thank you.
No, that's an incredible story. We weren't expecting you to be racing this afternoon as well, and it turns out it's a genius decision to have decided and done that. That's incredible. Congratulations, Philip. Win number 3 in WMSC. Very well done indeed. Next, up to Lucas Murno. Lucas, congratulations on the pole position. Second place. Again, it seemed a big fluctuation of conditions there this afternoon. Did you feel more comfortable in the wet or in the dry this afternoon?
To be honest, I'm quite a bit more in the dry situation. So in the wets was a bit shit to drive, but yeah, not a thing that I should be proud. But yeah, the I'm not quite lucky in this situation now. But yeah, it was a good one. I made a good race in those situations since our didn't have any expectations for this race since our car was a little bit unbalanced on the rain. So it's gonna be so I'm quite happy with this result. We can take a little bit of a gap of the championship. So it's gonna be a little bit more next, but still thinking, still thinking about what's gonna be on the next races because yeah, will be it will be quite difficult as I see. So yeah, I'm a bit disappointed, but yeah, I should be satisfied with this result. So yeah.
No, it's another excellent result and an excellent drive. And every time we speak to you, you always kind of think you weren't expecting to be in this situation. But as it stands, you're one of the main people leading the charge to Yanis, especially with him not scoring points today. Are you thinking long term about maybe a championship challenge, or is it still just one race at a time for you at this point?
Yeah, this point is quite hard to say about that because every race is happening something new, and for now I'm a bit disappointed to say something concrete. But yeah, so I'd rather to tell nothing about that for now.
Oh, absolutely. Well, another fine drive. It's been a great season so far. Another good result. Congratulations. Pascal, to you next. Obviously, crossing the line in fourth, but with Peckley's 5-second penalty, you get into third. Many different occasions, it swung wildly between yourself being in contention for the win, Yanis and then obviously Lucas and Philip. What's your reading on this afternoon? Because it's been another breathless race for us to commentate on.
Well, it seems like there's no difference in position that I have, considering the preparation. Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't feel quite good to finish third, but yeah, I don't know. I had, I think, 30 laps of practice, so it should be all right. But yeah, seems like I have no luck this year. But we'll see if it gets better.
You feel like it might have been a different story if that first safety car restart what didn't end immediately, because obviously you would have had slightly more laps to maybe mount a charge with a wetter track.
I mean, it would have definitely helped me, but it is what it is. Some people try to go for the slicks, and that's always a risk that there are less laps to race in. So yeah, that's what I also need to consider if I stop for interest at that moment.
Of course, and you had a couple of decisions. Is it right in saying that you obviously went into the pits earlier at one point under a previous safety car and was considering a risk and then decided against it?
Yeah, the moment I went into the pits, it started raining again. But I was already in the pit lane, so I couldn't escape it without penalty. And so I had to drive through the pits, and yeah, lost, I think, one position to Benton Reader. And yeah, it was just a bit unlucky, but at least I didn't change the tires to slicks, and then it started raining. So I also need to see the positive part in this one.
No, absolutely. And considering how treacherous the conditions were, it's great that you've been able to make it home. Same for all three of you. It could have easily gone very wrong, but excellent driving from all three. So congratulations to all of you. Thank you very much. Robin, I don't know where to begin. It's been another breathless, insane race this afternoon that all came alive. It seemed like it was going to settle into quite a quiet rhythm, and it all came alive. I don't even know. It seems unfair to ask you what your moment or driver of the day would be, because there's just so much to unpick from that, and we still don't fully know what the final result is going to be.
Yeah, I mean, every time we sit here and say, "Oh, what a race this was!" I can't imagine how to go one better. But I think it's getting better every time, at least for us spectators. I can't imagine it's quite frustrating on the track. But yeah, I'm very surprised. Looking forward to what round 6 at Magnico brings to us. But if I have to pick one driver of the day, I think it would still be Gabriel Peckley. I mean, incredibly unlucky with that 5-second penalty, but he finished this race in third after having that crash there with Danny Weller as well, where he was, I think, a lap down, and then he made it up onto the podium spot. So yeah, I think an honorary driver of the day I will give to him. But yeah, it's hard to unpack and to pick one moment or one driver of the race here today.
Oh no, absolutely, and as well as the top three, I think it's also worth shouting out Max Heyman, who has stepped into the Cesario for the first time this season. He did drive for them a couple of times last year and have a solid finish. And then Philip Feckler as well in the Costech, which would be their first points ever as well, which is an incredible achievement. So many brilliant stories this afternoon and brilliant drives. It's been incredible. And next time we go to a circuit that is new to WMSC, as you mentioned, the Circuit de Neve Manicourt, and that is a little bit of a gap away, just under a month away on the 9th of June. And I do hope you'll join us. But thank you so much for watching with us this afternoon. Let's all go have a lie down. And congratulations once again to Philip Pushka. See you next time.